Who will cry when you die? Chapter number 22. Take more risk. I'll make you a promise. On your deathbed, in the twilight of your life, it will not be all the risk you took that you will regret the most. Rather, what will fill your heart with the greatest amount of regret and sadness will be all those risks you did not take, all those opportunities you did not seek, and all those fears you did not face. Remember that on the other side of the fear lies freedom. And stay focused on the timeless success principle that says life is nothing more than a game of numbers. The more risk you take, the more rewards you will receive. Or the words of Sophocles, fortune is not only the side of the faint hearted. To live your life to the fullest, start taking more risk and doing the things you fear. Get good at being uncomfortable or stop walking the paths of least resistance. Sure, there is a greater chance that you will stub your toes when you walk the roads less traveled, but that is the only way you can get anywhere. As my wise mother always said, you cannot get to third base with one foot on the second. Or as Andre Gide observed, one does not discover new lands without consenting to lose the sight of the shore for a very long time. The real secret to a life of abundance is to stop spending your days searching for security and start spending your time pursuing the opportunity. Sure, you will meet with your sheer fears of failure if you start living more deliberately and passionately. But failure is nothing more than learning how to win. Or, as my dad observed one day, Robin, it's risky out on a limb, but that's where all the fruit is. As I wrote in an earlier lesson, life is all about choices. Deeply fulfilled and highly actualized people simply make wiser choices than others. You can choose to spend the rest of your days sitting on the shore of life in complete safety, or you can take some choices or chances, deep dive into the water and discover the pearls that lie waiting in person of true courage. To keep me inspired and centered on the fact that I must keep stretching my own personal boundaries as the day goes by, I have posted the following words of Roosevelt in the study where I write: it is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how strong man stumbled, or where the door of deeds could have done better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs and comes short again and again, who knows the great enthusiasms, the great devotions, and spend himself in a worthy cause, who at best in the end of the triumphs of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who know neither victory nor defeat. By this chapter is over. Let's move on to the next chapter, chapter number 23. Live a life. On being asked about the ups and downs of his career, movie star Kevin Costner responded with these words: I'm living a life. I found it I found this reply to be profound. Rather than spending his days judging the events and experiences of his life as either good or bad, he adopted a neutral stance and simply decided to accept them for what they are. A neutral part of the path he is on. We all travel different roads in our ultimate destinations. For some of us, the path is rockier than others, but no one reaches the end without facing some of the adversities. So, rather than fighting it, why not accept it as a way of life? Why not detach yourself from the outcomes and simply experience every circumstance that enters your life to the fullest? Feel the pain and savours the happiness, and savor the happiness. If you have never visited the valley, the view from the mountain top is not as breathtaking. Remember, there is no real failures in life, only results. There are no true tragedies, only lessons. As there are no problems, only opportunities, waiting to be recognized as solution by the person of wisdom. This chapter is over. We are moving on to the next chapter, chapter number 24. Learn from a great movie. I love going to the movies wherever I can. Often, I take my young daughter, Bianca, and my son, Colby, with me. And while munching on popcorn, we enjoy the latest animated film that is heating up the box office. We always walk out with smiles on our faces along with the whole new characters we can pretend to be in our daily play sessions. When I am on the road for a speaking tour, I still try to find few hours at the end of the day to slip into a theater in whatever city I may be in and watch a good movie. I find that films not only relax me, but they serve me to transport me to a different world and inspire me to keep thinking about the endless possibilities that the life holds. I guess movies bring out the dreamer in me. Recently, I saw an Italian movie called Life is Beautiful. Though it was subtitled, it kept me retrieved for nearly 3 hours and moved me like no film I have seen in quite some time. Much of the story centers on a loving father and his relationship with his young son. Early on, the two are inseparable and share many great times. Suddenly one afternoon, the two are taken away by their home and placed in a train bound for Auschwitz, the notorious Nazi concentration camp. The rest of the movie shows the incredible length the father goes to not only to keep his son alive, but to actually keep him happy throughout their horrifying ordeal. Though the father ultimately sacrifices the own life at the end, Life is Beautiful is a powerful reminder that living is a gift and we must make the best out of it every day of our lives. A good movie can restore your perspective, reconnect you to the things you value most, and keep you enthusiastic about the things in your life. As Waldo Emerson said, nothing great was ever achieved without enthusiasm. This chapter number 24 is over. We are moving on to the next chapter, that is chapter 25. Bless your money. If you ever get to London, England, visit Foyle, which is among the oldest bookstores in the city. I have found more gems by browsing along its dusty shelves than any other bookshelf I have visited around the world. Being a dedicated student of self help literature myself, I generally gravitate to that section in the store. I always look for a little known work that will offer me a few new insights on the art of living and help me improve the quality of my own life. As in foils, I always find one. A few years back, I found a book entitled Bring Out the Magic in Your Mind. It was written almost 30 years ago by a man, Al Quran, who was then known as the finest metal magician in the world. In a chapter entitled The Secret of Wealth, he writes the following: when you send your money out, remember always to bless it. Ask it to bless everyone that it touches, and command it to go out to feed the hungry and clothe the naked, and command it to come back to you in a millions, multiply and come back to you in millions. Don't pass over this lightly. I am serious. Over the next few days, why not follow Al Quran's advice and see what happens? When you pay for your groceries, silently bless all those who have helped bring this food to you. The farmer who had grown it, the delivery people who have carried it, and the store clerks who have stocked it. If you are writing the check for your children's education, why not give a silent appreciation to all the teachers who are spending their days shaping the minds of your kids and all those others who are making their work possible? When you pull in out a few bills to buy a magazine off the rack in a convenience store, bless the person who is toiling away behind the counter and hope the money adds value to the quality of his or her life. As the timeless truth says, the hand that gives is the hand that gathers. Chapter number 26. Focus on the worthy. A while ago, a FedEx package arrived at my office. Inside was an envelope with a gold seal placed on the fold and my name carefully written on the front. I quickly opened it and began to read the letter within. It was from the CEO of a major corporation who had picked up my book, Leadership Wisdom, from the monk who sold his Ferrari at the airport when he was on his way to a business meeting in Europe. He said he was a lifelong student of leadership and was intrigued by the title which had brought a smile to his face. The executive that had been under tremendous pressure as a result of overwhelming demands placed on him and was hoping to learn some ways to improve his leadership effectiveness so that he could spend more time on the things that really mattered, both in his business and his personal world. In his letter, he wrote, as I read your story about this man whose life has become too complex and out of control, I began to connect with a part of myself that had not connected with that I had not connected with for many years. I began to think about the people in my organization who look to me for guidance and inspiration. I began to think about my wife who had been begging me to take a vacation for past 5 years. And I thought about my 3 children who had watched their father spend the finest years of their youth climbing the imaginary ladder of success. I consider myself a strong person, but as I continued to read your book, I began to sob, quietly at first, but then uncontrollably. So much so that the flight attendant rushed over and politely asked if everything was all right. The CEO continued, that moment was a wake up call for me and an experience that I will carry with me until the day I die. I knew that I had to make some serious changes in the way I was leading and in the way I was living. So, on the flight, sitting 35,000 feet above the world below, I promised to myself that I would commit myself to eliminating the multitude of distractions in my life and concentrate on only the fundamentals. Those few activities that really had the power to make difference in the way I worked and I lived. I promised to stop reading 6 newspapers a day, handling a piece of mail that appeared in my basket and accepting every dinner invitation that came my way. I even had the title of your chapter on personal effectiveness, which you aptly call Focus on the Worthy, made into a plaque that I kept on my desk to remind me that a person who tries to do ultimately who tries to do everything ultimately achieves nothing. I cannot tell you how much better my life has become since I began to live by its simple philosophy. Thank you. Time is precious. Time is more precious commodity, and yet most of us live our lives as if we have all the time in the world. The real secret of getting control of your life is to restore the sense of focus in your days. The real secret to getting things done is knowing what things need to be left undone. Once you start spending the hours of your day only on those high leverage activities and priorities that will advance your life's mission and legacy, everything will change. Many of history's greatest thinkers have arrived at same conclusion. The sage Co- Confictus put it this way: a person who chases two rabbits catches neither. While a Roman philosopher, Marcus, said, Let their occupations, let thine occupation be few if thou wouldst lead to a tranquil life. Management guru Peter Drucker made a point of wisdom in another way when he wrote, There is nothing so useless as doing efficiently that what should not be done. With this, chapter number 26 is also finished. Thank you.